Hi, and welcome back to the Practical Polyglot. This video will discuss what I like to call motivational upkeep. How do you remain motivated? How do you keep yourself accountable for learning the language that you're working through? And the first piece of advice that I have for you is try to form intrinsic motivation to learn your language. Try to form a relationship such that it is much easier for you to learn this language. So, in short, learn the language you love. The first key to motivation to learning a language is deciding on one that you are naturally interested in, naturally attracted to. If you are learning a language that you have little or no interest in, you are going to find that it's very difficult to work through it and to practice it every day. And it will be difficult for you to maintain your motivation in the long term. So when I choose to study a language, it's because I am intrinsically motivated to learn that language. I enjoy it, I like reading it, I like speaking it, I like hearing it, I like practicing it, I like reading about it, I like its culture. How do you know what language you like? I would suggest that you pay attention to its vocabulary, its vowels, consonants, its intonation, its cadence, its rhythm, its written language, and its culture. What aspects do you like or dislike? With the language that you're focusing on, form a list. Actually write out a physical list of reasons that you enjoy this language and write them out. I like hearing it. I've always been interested in the culture. I've always wanted to travel there. I like reading it. I like the way it sounds. My father and my mother spoke it and I want to learn it again. Whatever reason along those lines, make sure you form a physical list on a piece of paper because that list will become useful to you in the future. So, to continue with, how do you choose what language you want to learn? Do you want to learn a more fluid language like Spanish or Italian, or a more guttural language like German or Icelandic, or a more exotic language like Finnish? Finnish supposedly being the inspiration behind the Elvish language in Lord of the Rings. So maybe you like Lord of the Rings and you know that now. Well, maybe that would boost some interest and form some interest in you learning that language. Do you want to write using the Latin alphabet like we do, or do you want to form characters like in Chinese or Japanese, or very strange or unique languages like Armenian or Thai or Lao? Or would you like to write right to left like they do in Arabic or Hebrew? Or would you like to write with the Cyrillic alphabet in which an H is pronounced like an N? Or do you want to communicate with the actual tone of your voice, like in Vietnamese or Chinese? Or do you want to learn a language that is completely unrelated to its neighbors, such as the Basque language in Spain, or Japanese, or Hungarian? Most people in their lives have said at one point or another, I've always wanted to learn blank because it just sounds cool. So if you can find that language for you, focus on that to start. You'll benefit in the long run as it is a strong motivational tool for you as you work through the practices and as you form a daily routine. When you explore a language that you're naturally interested in, you'll find that it's much, much easier to work through and persevere through the more difficult aspects of language learning. Now, so I would suggest that you look on YouTube, find examples of the language spoken on YouTube, find podcasts on iTunes, find some newspapers online, find some books online, listen to what's out there and see what you like. Now, maybe you can't form an intrinsic motivation to learn these languages. Maybe you have more practical, or what I would call extrinsic motivations to learn a language. So maybe you are you need to learn the language for a job, or you are in a new relationship, or you want to meet somebody, or you're about to travel and you want to at least know the basics. There's all kinds of extrinsic motivators that are useful too. So if that's the case for you, formulate a list of those extrinsic motivators also and keep those somewhere. And you'll be able to refer to those if you start to slip in your daily routine of language learning. Don't let yourself form excuses not to do it. There's plenty of reasons not to do something, and it's very easy to think of them when it comes time to do it. But don't let yourself do it. Language learning is very rewarding, and a little bit goes a long way. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself, especially if you're only monolingual at this point and you want to change that. So focus on the end result, not on the day-to-day grind of it. So to recap, 3 main things that I'd like to point out to you. My first piece of advice is, if you can, motivate yourself intrinsically by learning the language that you love. Second, make sure you formulate a list of those reasons and keep it on a piece of paper on your computer so that you can refer to them as you lose interest or motivation. If you cannot find ways to intrinsically motivate yourself to learn this language, then focus on your extrinsic motivators, such as job, travel, relationship. Form those reasons and do the same thing. Keep them on a piece of paper somewhere. And when you start that your routine is starting to slip, your motivation to learn the language is starting to slip, life gets in the way, and you lose track, and you fall off the routine, pull those back out, reread them, and you'll find that you will reconnect with your original reasons of learning it.